Welcome to People and Profit. I'm Kate Moody. Can nuclear power help resolve Europe's energy crisis? The war with Iran has prompted many economies to reevaluate their energy needs and strategy. Sweden, Belgium and Italy are among the countries rolling back previous restrictions on nuclear power, while France and the UK are spearheading new nuclear projects. The European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen is leading calls for more investment in nuclear energy. She says that while a third of Europe's energy in 1990 was nuclear, that percentage has been cut in half.
And in hindsight, it was a strategic mistake for Europe to turn its back on a reliable, affordable source of low-emission power. This should change. Because nuclear and renewables have a key role to play, this is not an either-or. It is in combination that they are most powerful.
I'm joined now in studio by Valérie Faudon, Executive Director of the French Nuclear Energy Society. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Do you think that nuclear power is making a comeback in Europe?
Oh, absolutely. We're really experiencing a nuclear revival at the worldwide level, and especially since the crisis in Ukraine, and now with a crisis in the Middle East, this comeback is even stronger.
Can you give us a few examples of the kinds of projects that we're seeing coming up?
So we've seen now 30 heads of states, and among them we have the United States, we have China, we have Japan, we have France, we have UK, that have pledged for a tripling of nuclear capacity by 2050. So it was a major declaration and pledge from heads of states, plus doing lots of announcements, especially in Europe, of countries announcing new nuclear programs or countries changing their mind. We're thinking of, for instance, about Belgium, who changed their law. They had a nuclear exit law and they changed it. And now the Belgian government is investing to buy back all the nuclear plants from ENGIE. We're also seeing signs in Italy, who had a referendum against nuclear, and now the government is announcing a new law to come back to nuclear energy.
Some real policy U-turns then.
Absolutely.
When people think about nuclear power, though, many remember the disasters, specifically Chernobyl 40 years ago, Fukushima in 2011. How do you think public perception can be shifted on these issues? And perhaps more importantly, how can industry players really ensure the safety of nuclear power plants?
So nuclear is a little bit like plane. It's like people are really afraid in planes or they're scared about nuclear energy, but it's one of the safest means of producing energy in the same way that airplanes are one of the safest means of transportation. So the way the industry has addressed it is first by major transparency of events and also very strong controls over the industry. In France, we have EDF, who is a very trusted company because it's been there for a while. It's a public company. And also, we have a very strong safety authority, which is independent from the French government, and it's very transparent, and it's got a lot of power. For instance, they can decide to shut down a nuclear plant if they feel that the nuclear plant is not well managed.
Now, it can take decades to build new nuclear power plants.
Absolutely.
So this isn't a quick fix that we can just turn to in times of crisis. This is really a medium to longer term solution.
Yeah, well, the first thing we can do is keep the nuclear plants that we currently have. So there are many operations of revamping the nuclear plants, changing the components. We call that long-term operation activities. So lots of them have taken place in the United States, where we have now nuclear plants that are authorized to operate for 80 years. It's going on now in France. And we also have examples of nuclear plants that had been shut down, and it's decided to put them back on the network again. So we have that in the United States. There are rumors that we could do that as well in Belgium.
Do you consider nuclear power as a true renewable energy source in the same basket, if you will, as solar or wind energy?
So it's a low carbon source. So the IPCC list nuclear energy as a low carbon source. It doesn't produce any green gas during production. Fission doesn't produce CO2. And it could be renewable. If we have technologies that use uranium, depleted uranium, so it's a bit technical, but resources, we have several thousands of years of resources in front of us.
Now, France is Europe's biggest nuclear power producer. About 2/3 of its energy, of its electricity, comes from nuclear power. It operates over 50 reactors. It's building more. It means that households and businesses here are in some ways insulated from the worst of the energy price shock that we're seeing elsewhere in Europe. Is this focus on nuclear energy paying off in France?
Yes, we built the fleet in the crisis, the first oil crisis in 1973. That's when we decided to build the fleet, because at the time we were producing a lot of our electricity with actually oil. And thanks to the nuclear plants, we have been able to have fossil fuels represent only less than 5% of our electricity mix. But we shouldn't forget that besides electricity, we have all the oil and gas that we're using in mobility, in heating our homes and in industry. So 60% of our energy still comes from fossil fuels. So the big challenge now is using the electricity to decarbonize the other sectors. You know, electrify.
Now, energy independence is really a key watchword at the moment. Can European countries build and produce nuclear energy on their own? Do they have the technology and parts to be self-sufficient?
Absolutely. We have about 500,000 skilled workers in Europe to build the nuclear plants. If you take France, we are completely independent. That means we can build our own facilities. We have the factories and we have the engineering centers to build our own equipment. And we also have our whole supply chain to take uranium ore and transform it into usable nuclear fuel, which is very important because when we talk, for instance, about rare earth, China dominates rare earth, not because of the mining, but because of a transformation chain. And in France, we have our own transformation chain for uranium ore.
And China does play a really big role in the development of other renewables. Stay with us for a moment, if you will. I want to turn to a report about China's rapid investment in and expansion of nuclear power plants. The world's second largest economy is quickly emerging as a nuclear energy powerhouse. Eliza Herbert has more.
With unmatched industrial momentum, China is building nuclear power plants fast. Thousands of workers are pouring tons of concrete across scores of sites like this to complete each full-scale facility in under 5 years, at a speed twice or 3 times that of France. In 2000, the country had only 3 reactors at 2 sites. That number is now 20-fold.
We have 60 operational reactors and 36 under construction. Today, we have the capacity to manufacture 50 simultaneously.
China's nuclear power units under construction now account for more than half of the global total. And the country is on the verge of replacing the United States, world-topping 94 reactors. At the heart of the growth is this new generation model, the Hualong 1, which means the country's dragon, and it is 100% Chinese.
We commission 6 to 8 of them every year.
It is small and less efficient than its competitors, such as the European pressurised reactor known as EPR, powering electricity for over 1 million people compared to up to 2.6. It is shorter at 60 metres, not 80, but the standout difference is the cost, coming in at €5 billion as opposed to 8 to 12. While the EPR, which was developed by France and Germany, helped inspire the Hualong 1, this specialist believes the student has become the master.
Today, I acknowledge that France, through EDF and Framatome, and through training programs in Reims, has made a significant contribution to the development of nuclear power in China.
Beijing now hopes to sell its power plants abroad. To date, only Pakistan has bought them.
Valérie, what do we know about this new Chinese model, this new technology?
We know them really well because we're very close to the EPR technology, actually, because at the beginning in the 1990s, France did transfer the technology to China, and we helped them build nuclear plants there, so they have learned a lot from us. So now we're in a position to learn from them because they have built a lot and they have developed excellence in building. And the real reason I said we didn't lose our factories, we didn't lose our workers, but we we lost our experience in building a lot of reactors very fast. And that's really what we have to learn back from them.
So could this be a game changer for the industry?
Absolutely. And the key is to be able to build identical reactors in a series. So that's why the new nuclear program in France is at least 6 units and most probably 14 units, still to be decided, because the more we build, the faster we build. And we've seen that the Chinese are right now able to build in less than 5 years. And our goal is to be able in France to build in less than 70 months.
And what about geopolitical pressures, competition?
So we have strategic autonomy on the nuclear. So it's healthy competition and there's a lot of collaboration. The first one is on safety. All the operators worldwide exchange and they inspect themselves and they learn from each other on safety. But also right now there's a lot of exchange going on how we can build faster and they're helping a lot the French industry on that.
Valérie Faudon, Executive Director of the French Nuclear Energy Society. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's all for now. Don't forget you can find our previous shows on the France 24 website or as a podcast wherever you usually listen. Until next time, thanks for watching.